and in today's video, I will be predicting who will be the UFC champion of every weight class by 2027. And now, I know this may seem like an odd time to make a video like this, considering 2026 is rolling up on us pretty fast. We're in September, October, November, December. Boom, 2026 will be here. But I actually think this is the perfect time to make this video. Considering the rest of the year, we have the two pay-per-views in October, and then we will get the November and December card. So there are 4 title fights on there. So we're going to see, of course, Dvalishvili Sandhagen and Pereira Ankalaev. Then we will see Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane fight. Then we will see JDM, and Islam Makhachev fight. And then, most likely, I am guessing it will be a Volk title defense. Looking like Lerone Murphy, but we'll be discussing that a little bit later when we get to the featherweight section of this video. So, before I begin, if y'all want to go ahead and drop a comment of some of y'all's maybe hot takes for who could be champion in a weight class by 2027, by all means, go ahead and do that. But let's just go ahead and get right into it. I'll be explaining why I think this athlete will be the champion by 2027. And I don't think these are hot takes, really, in all honesty. But there's a couple on there. Here, let's just get right into it. My first one, this is my flyweight prediction. I think by the time 2027 is here, Tatsuro Taira will be the UFC flyweight champion. And here's why I think that. Starting off, he has a grappling advantage over everyone in the division, by far. And the only guy who you think would be able to mitigate that or stand a chance in the grappling with him is Pantoja. However, by the time 2027 rolls around, Pantoja will either be retired or he'll either be 38 or 39 years old. And I know we're kind of seeing a resurgence of Unks, with Volkanovski reclaiming the title at 314 and Pantoja defending against Kai Kara-France, who is one of the most overrated ranked fighters in the UFC, in my opinion. However, he did defend at the ripe age of 36 years old. But most of these guys in the top 15 at flyweight right now, and like the guys that are surging a little bit, he's able to nullify pretty much all their styles with his grappling. And the two guys you would think that would possibly be there are Van and Kopp. Manel Kopp, Joshua Van and Manel Kopp. Joshua Van will most likely lose to Pantoja. And I don't see Van, who trains at a boxing gym, who is mainly a pure boxer, being able to nullify a guy with the grappling pedigree of Tatsuro Taira, who doesn't get tired and keeps the same pace on every fight and is rapidly improving. And I think Manel Kopp would be the best chance of beating Taira. But all it takes is one time around, pretty much. And, when you get in title fights, you have 5 rounds to get it done. It takes one round. When Tatsuro gets a hold of you, you're done. You're not getting up. And that's why I think he will be the flyweight champion by the time 2027 rolls around. Like I said, Josh Van, and Manel Kopp are kind of my other two in there, but I think Taira's grappling pedigree beats both of them. If he gets one more good win, he probably is fighting for the title here pretty soon anyways. And I don't see any guy, except maybe Charles Johnson. He's kind of a sleeper in this as well. But we haven't seen him against the greatest of competition yet, except Van beating him about a year or two ago. And that's an example of why I think Van won't be able to, at least, I don't think by the time 2027 is here, he will be champ, because Pantoja beats him, and I think Tatsuro beats him pretty handedly. And like I said, Kopp has the best chance, but even though he really is, he is very crafty, very unorthodox, I don't think he has good enough takedown defense or grappling skills to really keep up with what Tatsuro Taira is able to do. Now, let's go ahead and get on to bantamweight. Merab Dvalishvili. I mean, I had trouble even trying to think of who else this could be, unless Merab is Merab is retired. Like, no one can stop him. No one at the 135-pound weight class can stop him. The toughest opponent for him is Umar, but with Merab rapidly improving, and I know Umar will improve, but his X factor of cardio, pace, and wrestling, and his striking seemingly to improve, his finishing ability on the ground is improving, like we've seen in the last fight with his defense against O'Malley. Nobody beats him. And the only way he is not champ at 135 in 2027 is if he moves up to 145 or retires. But he will be 36 by the time 2027 rolls around. And I'm with how this guy is built and just his insanity, he will be around in 2027. And I think at the earliest he retires maybe late 2027, late 2028. If not even, he may even further his career with just how much of an anomaly this guy really is. I hit all these. There's nobody at 135 you go, this is a bad matchup for Merab. Everyone Merab fights, Merab is your worst nightmare every time. And like I said, I think moving up to 145 is the only thing that will prevent this, which could happen, but I also don't see it necessarily happening. But like I said, I mainly went with Merab here because no one at 135 can beat him. And unless he moves up or retires, that's the only thing that changes this. And then after that, it's kind of a crapshoot, honestly, which, like the top 5 guys, all that, like O'Malley, Yan, Sandhagen, Umar, Bautista's coming up, about to fight Umar. All these guys at 135 are exciting and are good, and it would still be as entertaining as the weight class is today. But I don't see him moving up to 145. And this next slide, I'll show you why and what I think about the future of the 145-pound division. And it is John Silva. John Silva is the future of the 145-pound division. His rise and what I'm predicting and what I'm like 90% sure is going to happen, it's almost like Ilya. Just with how good he is on the feet and his power at 145. The only guy you can compare that to is Ilya when he rose up, beat Volk, and defended against Max. He has too much power for 145. By the time 2027 is here, I believe Volk will be retired. I'm guessing 2 more fights for Volk. And here's the sad part about Volk. I think John Silva is going to go out there and destroy Diego Lopez, sadly. I'm rooting for Diego. I'm not necessarily a John Silva fan. I think he's corny. Amazing fighter, though. Love watching him fight. I'm afraid John Silva goes and knocks out Diego Lopez in like the 3rd round, early prediction. And he fights Volk in December, or he will fight him sometime in 2026 and beat him, which I don't want to happen. I thought about making a whole video about this, but I'm afraid the UFC is really setting up Volk here for his next fight to be against John Silva, or for him to go out there, work Lerone Murphy, and then defend against John Silva. And Volk's the guy, he's not going to like turn down that fight or try to duck that. He will fight anybody. But I'm afraid at Volk's age, I mean, by that time, I think he'll be 37, I'm pretty sure. That power and just the way John Silva fights, I think we will see something similar to how Ilya beat him. Not necessarily with, like, John doesn't have the boxing necessary, like the technique, the high level of boxing Ilya Topuria has. But his power is such an X factor at the division. We have yet to see him get too fatigued, especially in these last fights. His takedown defense is really good, and he will for sure get a title shot with a win over Diego Lopez. Like, I seen Lerone Murphy saying, like, whoever wins Diego and John need to fight another time for a title shot. Diego, if he wins, for sure, but John, is it John or Gene Silva? Let's say Gene now. Gene Silva will not have to fight another fight for a title shot. He will get it immediately. The UFC loves a guy like this, which, why wouldn't you promote an amazing, powerful, exciting fighter like Gene Silva? I mean, the only real challenge I see with him is Movsar Evloev. But he has brick wall takedown defense, and even if Movsar was able to get like 1 or 2 rounds off of Gene Silva in a 5-round championship setting, Gene Silva sleeps him. He sleeps him. The only 2 guys I can see like kind of hanging in there on the feet with Silva are Volk and Lerone Murphy. And I think Lerone gets slept. I think he doesn't have enough output for a guy like Jean Silva. Volk has the output, but man, I would say 85% chance Jean Silva knocks out Volk, sadly, at this point in his career. And he just oozes confidence. And these guys that come up in the ranks and make statements like Ilya did recently, this is a big parallel, kind of what I'm making my point in. But he oozes the confidence of a championship fighter and a guy that will not lose for a very long time. And I don't, this is kind of a hot take, but I think he finishes every featherweight on the roster. I don't think there's a guy he doesn't finish. I don't, though, like Ilya, maybe not Josh Emmett, because his chin is insane. And Volk, and maybe his chin isn't bad anymore, but I didn't like that shot he got Volk getting rocked by Diego in that last fight. I didn't like that, because you get caught with a couple shots like that from Gene Silva, you're going to sleep. And that's why I think by the time 2027 is here, Jean Silva is your featherweight champion, most likely with a title defense or 2. Because I am guessing we're gonna get him and Volk in December headlining that end of year card. So yeah, moving on to lightweight, Ilia Topuria. I think by the time 2027 is here, he will still be here. He may retire somewhere in 2027 because he's just that guy that he wants to get in, get some money, be a legend, and be done. He said that over and over. His only challenge is Islam. But I think it's more likely that fight does not happen. And I think it's even a lower chance that the lightweight belt is on the line, considering when Islam goes up to 170 and fights JDM, whether he wins and loses, I don't think he's going to want to cut to 155 again. And I hope they still make that fight, whether Islam loses or wins. But I guarantee it, they will, which I don't think this is a bad idea. At least this is what I would do. It'll be like a 160, like maybe somewhere between 165, between like 160, 168 catchweight bout. That's what I see this fight happening, maybe at 160, and they maybe do like a super fight promotion style of this, maybe with a super fight title. I think it's a great idea to bring back that old school super fight title, just because like we just want to see the best fight the best. And I hope that fight happens, but I don't think it will happen, whether Islam goes out there and wins the welterweight belt or not. And I think Arman's an interesting matchup, but he gets knocked out. We are not worried about Arman Tsarukyan. We are not worried about him. He maybe is able to get a little more grappling exchange wins in this fight compared to like Charles Oliveira. But what we've seen from Ilya grappling-wise in that Charles Oliveira fight, in his combination of insane power and boxing, he will beat Arman Tsarukyan in a 5-round fight. Arman doesn't even... Maybe I should rewatch the Gamrot fight, but I don't think Arman's gas tank is anything special. And I think with Arman's style, you have to be able to push a very, very tough pace against a guy like Ilya. And I think Ilya is that guy, he has that octagon presence. As soon as he walks in there, he dictates the pace, dictates where the fight's going to go. And that's why I think he beats everyone except maybe Islam, especially at lightweight. Again, he sleeps every lightweight on the roster, no questions asked. Like I said, he possibly retires in 2027 at some point, or maybe even earlier. But I'm guessing he will still be around when that ball drops on January 1st, 2027, and he will still be the UFC lightweight champion. Moving on to welterweight, which this is kind of a hot take. I'm going with Sean Brady. he is a bad matchup for both JDM and Islam. And I know that that's kind of a hot take, but I think JDM would JDM. By the way, big JDM fan. I hope he never loses the belt. But JDM, I think he would struggle with how Sean Brady is built. He's shorter and stockier, and his shots are faster, and his control is so good. His top control, back control, his grappling game is so good. And I think at 170, I would even say like the grappling overall is possibly better than Islam's. And even if Islam wins, I think he gives Islam a run for his money. And I would pick him to beat him. And in the next 5 or so months, it should be sooner. This is ridiculous. These guys got to fight that are at the top of these divisions. He's going to fight Ian Gary or Shavkat, and he will beat them. He will beat one of those guys and get a title shot. So he will probably fight for the title sometime in 2026. And he's short and dense built. I think it's just a bad matchup for everyone at welterweight except Bilal. And like we seen earlier, a couple years ago, Bilal beating Brady. But I think Brady's taken a huge leap in skill since that loss against Bilal Muhammad. So today I'm picking Sean Brady against Bilal. But I think just matchup-wise, that's his hardest matchup. Just because they are sort of built the same way, and with Bilal's pressure and dirty boxing skills, it is a bad matchup, and that's what lost him the fight the first time around. But I think Sean Brady's striking skills and fundamentals have improved rapidly, especially defensively, and I think his dominant grappling and top pressure beats all these strikers at welterweight, and I would take him to beat Islam and Bilal, even though I don't think Bilal will see a title shot ever again. I doubt they'll ever meet again in the octagon. But I'd take him over Islam because I think it's easier to make the case for him to beat JDM. But then you get the matchup possibly with Islam. I still take him to beat Islam. I don't think Islam will be able to take him down. And then you look on the feet, and I think Brady can. Again, his short and dense build. I think he's able to shell up and win some of those striking exchanges with his improved boxing. And I think he can get on top of Islam and be there for a while. Like I said, it's a slightly warm take. I do hope it's JDM instead, though. I'm a big JDM fan. I hope he proves all these takes wrong. Hope he goes out there and starches Islam. I'm sort of a Sean Brady fan, I'd say, as well. But I would still be rooting for JDM. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments, because I know this is kind of a hot take. Now we will move on to the middleweight division. And guys, I have to go with my best friend, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. He is my best friend. How can I pick against my own best friend? Look at us at UFC 317. We were just hanging out. I was like, Fluffy, let's grab a picture real quick. Send it to the ladies just to know, hey, just a couple of boys. We'll be out on the Vegas Strip later if y'all want to come talk a little bit, chop it up with a couple of cool guys. He sure does love his marijuana. We know that. I don't usually partake in it, but my best friend Anthony Fluffy Hernandez for sure can peer pressure me here and there. That's for sure. But here's why I think he will be champion by 2027. I think it is more likely Khamzat will not be champion by 2027 more than any other prediction you can make about this weight class by the time 2027 is here. He will have retired or got sick. I think one of those two things are very likely, and at some point he will vacate the title at middleweight before I think he even gets the chance to fight against a guy like Fluffy. Or he possibly just moves up because he's crazy, in which I wouldn't mind seeing at all. Seeing him against Ank would be pretty sick. And I would still maybe pick Fluffy to beat Khamzat, depending on how he looks against his win. He will win against Reinier de Ridder. But he's my best friend. How can I not pick this guy? I mean, look how happy we were. I mean, we were just hanging. I haven't talked to him in a while. But probably next week. He usually shoots me a text, the closer it gets to fights. It'll be about a month out from the Vancouver card in October. He'll text me, training camp's going great. You maybe want to head out here, hang out a couple days. I like to give him a couple laughs, take his mind off of things and, goof, just get a little guff going with the boys. And, I get some rounds in there with Fluffy. Obviously dominates me, with my rusty Muay Thai and BJJ skills. I haven't been to the MMA gym in a while. I'm a busy man. But, I get some good rounds in there with him and his training partners. And his pace and cardio, besides maybe Hamzat, it is unbeatable at middleweight. It's unbeatable. Even against Brandon Allen, it may seem like he's maybe like the worst fighter in there, but he's going to keep just shooting, and he will never get tired. And at middleweight, that is so unbeatable. So unbeatable at middleweight. I pick him against everyone at middleweight, minus Hamzat, and I'd still maybe pick him. It's my best friend, man. But he will beat RDR. There's a chance he will have to fight one more time, even if he gets that win. Because in my opinion, I'd rather see Fluffy go ahead and get the shot. But in my opinion, if I'm being unbiased, the winner of Bahalio and Nasruddin Imavov, prediction video coming tomorrow, will get that title shot, and they do deserve it, especially Imavov, if he goes out there and gets to win. I'll tell you who's going to win tomorrow. But, like I said, even if he fights Hamzat, say, sometime in 2026, there's still a big chance he will, by the time 2027 is here, he will be champ. And like I said, the pace and cardio is unbeatable. I've seen him in the gym. He's working that striking. He's working those fundamentals on the feet every single day, because I know that's what everyone criticizes about him. But with that pace and cardio and his improvement in striking every fight on the feet, like I said, unbeatable at the 185-pound weight division. Shout out my best friend, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. We go way back. Just a couple of guys who were meant to be friends. And we just, we like to bro down. We don't talk a whole lot. We don't talk a whole lot. I'm not going to say the specifics. When we're both maybe in some bad spots, kind of down on ourselves, we like to cheer each other up, shoot a couple jokes here and there, back and forth to each other on text message. He FaceTimes me here and there when he knows I'm at work in the oil field, and he's in the gym getting that work in, and he's updating me, telling me how he feels, especially during fight camps. And he's just a great guy, great man, and a great fighter that will be the middleweight champion by 2027. And here, light heavyweight, it's Ankalaev. As much as I want to see Alex Pereira beat him when October rolls around, Ank will beat him. He will beat him once again, and there's no other man in the light heavyweight division that can dethrone him. There's not a single person. Unbeatable at light heavyweight. He walks through Alex Pereira, Chama, again in October, and he walks through Yuri as well. Even though I think Yuri, with his unorthodox style, I think he has a better chance of beating Ankalaev by a finish somehow, or by a weird sub. But he still walks through him. And who else are you? You match him up against Olberg, Roundtree. He already beat Blachowicz. He beat him. That was not a draw. Reyes, if he wins, no. I mean, you can, but he beats him. And the UFC will feed him contenders until he retires. He's not a big draw. His skill and fighting ability is special because he's so good. Not that entertaining. Not boring, but not that entertaining. He's so good, man. His hand speeds and A+ grappling for light heavyweight. At the light heavyweight division, those two combinations, you're not going to lose, man. And he's not going to lose at light heavyweight until he retires. He'll only be 34 by 2027, too. And he's just going to rack up title defenses. And he'll most likely be a decision fighter the whole time. But he's not too boring, though. not going to try to convince you he's exciting, like some great fighter you want to watch. But, yeah, man. And Tom Aspinall is the only fighter on the roster who can beat him. He beats every other heavyweight, I promise you. None of those guys at heavyweight would be able to match his speed with his hands, and I think he can pretty much grapple at will, except maybe against Jailton Almeida and maybe Curtis Blades, maybe at heavyweight. But he maybe not. I think he'd make it look easier at heavyweight than what he does at the light heavyweight division. And Tom Aspinall is the only guy on the roster who can beat him because he has great grappling chops and his hand speed is phenomenal for the weight class, and he has the power. So, like, if that was a super fight to happen, I would pick Tom Aspinall to knock him out easily. But yeah, just with his combination of skills, I don't think there's a light heavyweight on the roster that will be able to beat him, even by the time 2027 is here. And usually, light heavyweight prospects, young prospects, are far and few in between. Like, name one right now. Exactly. I hope Pereira wins, though. That'd be way better for the sport. And then we could get Alex and Tom, even though Tom would destroy him. Still fun, though. And I like to have fun. Moving on. By 2027, Shamil Gaziev will be the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. I mean, look, it's meant to be. Shamil Gaziev, the best blob on the roster. No, this is a joke. I don't think he will be champion by 2027, but you got to give our king the props he deserves when he gets the chance to. The belt looks so good on him. Maybe he works his way up and gets Aspinall. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. I'm going to get a drink of water. Let's just admire how good and blocky and blobby our king Shamil Gaziev looks. Stay hydrated, as my favorite Dustin Poirier always says. But you knew the answer to this. Tom Aspinall. He is the most unbeatable man to ever walk the earth, besides Jesus, but Jesus isn't all human, so that, Jesus beats everyone. But besides Jesus, he is the most unbeatable man to ever walk the earth. He is. Ankalaev is the only guy who stands a chance, but I doubt he'll even ever get the chance to fight him. I would like to see it, but just how the UFC does business, I don't see the point in moving up Ankalaev unless you really are that dry at heavyweight, which there is a chance because heavyweight sucks. He's too fast, too powerful, just flat out too good. He's better pretty much everywhere than every heavyweight on the roster. The only argument you can maybe make is grappling, and that's just because we haven't seen it. With his athleticism and speed, I'll take the flyer right now. Best heavyweight grappler on the roster. By far. You heard it from me, even though we haven't even seen it that much. He is. He's just such a freak of an athlete. Even if John Jones comes back and fight him, which he won't, we know he won't, he would mop the floor with him. I rewatched the Stipe fight last Saturday night. He looked so flubby and slow and weak. Tom Aspinall would bulldoze him in a round. And I know his old man Stipe. Poor Stipe. I love Stipe. One of my favorite fighters to ever do it. But he mops the floor with him. He easily mops the floor with John Jones. The fight most likely won't happen. But first round, it's over. I would put all my money that I have in my bank account on Tom Aspinall to win if the fight gets made. And he possibly is the best grappler in the division as well. I think he is. We just haven't got to see it yet. But, I mean, that's it. I know some people, some haters are going to be like, who's going to be the WMA champs, man? We're hardcore. We care about that. Duh. I mean, I do too. That video is 3.5 hours long. How I have to break down these amazing women fighters and how good they are. It takes too long with their outside foot battles and teeps to the body, we'll say. Because a lot of the times they hit a little bit below the belt, man. And they just don't do nothing about it. However, that is on my OnlyFans. I uploaded that Tuesday for my Technical Tuesday upload. Because it is such a technical beakers and test tubes. You really got to get into the weeds and nitty gritty. And I had to use my program software on the AI program software to break this down stat by stat, percentage by percentage. Because who knows? Who knows who's going to be the WMA champs by 2027? Who knows? No one knows. But that's on the OnlyFans. So go check that out. That's Seen All MMA on OnlyFans. It's only $69 a month. Ain't much. But thank y'all for watching if you've made it this far. Please let me know what you think about my predictions for who will be champ by 2027 in the comments below. Feel free to put your list of who you think will be champ in every weight class by 2027 in the comments below. Please like, please subscribe, and hit that bell notification icon because this is Seen All MMA, the most hardcore, most based UFC MMA takes you see on the intranet. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. Prediction video coming out tomorrow. Should get a video out Friday as well. I'm kind of thinking about what I should post. That could depend on how good the UFC Paris press conference is as well. But please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Jesus loves you, and goodbye.